Good evening, I'm Laura Lee.
And I'm Dan Wolf. Thanks for joining us. When severe weather hits, sirens are meant to notify and warn residents of the imminent threat of a tornado.
But last week, residents in Proctor felt more disturbed when they received a tornado warning on their cell phones and the sirens didn't go off.
Northern News Now's Madison Green investigated why residents hear the test sirens every month, but not when there's a real threat.
This is the typical tornado siren test Proctor residents hear every month. But what most don't know is this siren is actually located in the city of Duluth.
It doesn't change the fact that it exists. I guess I don't think we need to have another one. We need to have the one that exists that we hear the first Wednesday of every month needed to go off on Thursday, and it didn't.
Local radio host Bruce Siskey has lived in Proctor for 20 years. When Proctor residents were in a tornado warning last Thursday, he and others were asking, why didn't the sirens go off? And who is in charge of pushing that button?
If there is a tornado warning in a jurisdiction that has sirens, and only if those sirens can be activated by our 911 center, then our 911 dispatchers do activate those sirens in that jurisdiction.
St. Louis County Emergency Operations Manager Josh Brinkman says the other way is if the jurisdiction requests they be activated. But since Proctor does not technically have its own, sounding this one for Proctor residents means sounding all of the alarms in Duluth.
There really wasn't a present need in downtown Duluth stretches or any of the hillside neighborhoods to activate those sirens because the threat wasn't there.
While sirens are a necessary tool to use during a severe weather incident, Brinkman says most municipalities are relying more on mobile push notifications to warn residents. He says the outdoor siren is becoming outdated. According to the Pew Research Center, about 90% of Americans own a smartphone.
Any percentage above like 1 is too high because people need to be alerted of these things.
Siskey's mother is in the 10% without a phone. He argues sirens may be antiquated according to emergency officials, but for residents who rely on them, they are vital.
We are, as a society, way too reliant on our cell phones to tell us everything. I come back to, there's a siren that can be heard in a neighborhood. Sound it. It's so simple.
In Duluth, Madison Green, Northern News Now.
Madison, thank you. Now, Brinkman does add that the county does not want to overuse the system. And sometimes when people hear the sirens, they actually go outside to see what is going on instead of seeking shelter.
As a reminder, if there is a tornado warning in your area, authorities say seek shelter and tune in for updates on radio or TV and check on your neighbors and loved ones.